right, Forsberg, I don't think you're wrong, but you guys know the Celtics didn't have a choice, right? You know they made the decision last Thursday when the C's sat Al Horford and Jason Tatum. The Bucks just didn't cooperate the rest of the way. Hello and welcome to our Bella Early Edition. I'm Trenni Kusnierek. Can we stop tripping over ourselves saying the Celtics wanted the Nets? They're the only ones who aren't afraid of KD and Kyrie. No, it's just the way things shook out around the league. The Bucks mailed it in, doing everything they could do to avoid the Nets. Woof. Bad look. The Sixers, though, they went all out, winning both of their final 2 games. So unless the C's wanted to fall to 4, they had to win on Sunday. With all that said, though, I'm with Chris Gasper. I stand by it. The right move was made. Am I right, though? We got the 2 Chris's, Chris Mannix and Chris Forsberg here with us. Mannix, am I right? Did the Celtics play this right? Are they in a good position with the 2 seed and home court advantage, even though they're most likely going to have to face the Nets?
I think they're in a good position because I think they will and should be the favorites going into that series against Brooklyn. Look, nobody's denying that a series against Chicago, which Milwaukee will take on in that first round, might be the easiest first round series in the playoffs because the Bulls right now are a wounded animal. Their defense has fallen off a cliff. They won't have Lonzo Ball. So they're kind of sitting ducks out there for a top team in the first round. But I don't think Boston can go into this series fearful of Brooklyn. One of the things that made the Nets so good last year in the playoffs is that their defense going into the postseason, was really good. This time around, it's not. They're 19th in the NBA in defensive efficiency, and they look like a team that's 19th in defensive efficiency. So, look, it's not ideal to face Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in the first round, but it's not a series I'd be afraid of.
The idea that the Celtics should have just punted yesterday's game to get an easier draw in round 1 and totally disregarding the benefits that come in round 2 is such a loser's mentality. And if you're going to be a championship team, you're going to have to face adversity at some point. And yes, this is a pricklier matchup. You're going to have to deal with the headaches that come with playing Kyrie Irving and all his logo stomping and sage burning. And you're going to have to deal with Kevin Durant, probably going to win himself at least a game with his big nights. But if the Celtics are as good as they've been the last 3 months, there should be no fear. And the Nets stink. They're not the Lakers. Gasper oversold that a little bit, but they have no defense. They have no depth. If the Celtics lose this series, it would be shameful.
Stink feels like maybe a bridge too far for me. I mean, they're not. Listen, are they? Aren't you taking them a little bit too lightly, Forsberg?
Oh, come on. No, they have the 20th ranked defense. They have been better since the mandate has lifted, but we don't know what full-time Kyrie looks like. He hasn't had to play 7 playoff-style games in forever now. So, look, if your defense was the number 1 defense over the course of the season and you can go out there and replicate that in the playoffs, and certainly it's a little bit more tough without Rob Williams out there, but maybe he'll be back later in the series. And I don't know. I just feel like the Celtics should win. And I keep hedging a little bit. At first, I was using big verbs like steamroll and cruise, and I'll walk that back a little bit. And man, I'm going to be roasted on these programs if they don't win this series. But I just the Nets aren't even that good. They got 2 really good players who will complicate matters. The Celtics should still win that series.
6:05:07. The Nets aren't that good, Mannix.
Yeah, Chris, as someone regularly roasted on those programs for things that I might say, you are headed down that path, my friend, because the Nets do not stink. I mean, their defense, as I said, is not good. But I don't know anyone that wants to go up against Kevin Durant, one of the best playoff performers currently in the postseason, or Kyrie Irving, who has, a history of solid playoff success, especially when he was in Cleveland. They're a dangerous team offensively. They can outscore you in a variety of different ways. One reason, maybe the biggest reason I like the Celtics in this series is I think they want to piece the Nets, at least select members of that team. You look at Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, who were on the Celtics last year when the Celtics were battered by the Nets in that first round. I think both those guys relish the opportunity to go at Kyrie Irving on the defensive side of the ball. And I was speaking to someone close to Jason Tatum recently, and one thing he told me is that Tatum right now believes he's the best player in the world, not all NBA level, but believes he's the best player in the world. And I think Tatum goes into this series eager to prove that he can play on the level of a Kevin Durant. So I think in addition to the Celtics having an edge in, tangible ways, I think the intangibles, the motivation are in their favor as well.
Isn't this how it always has to happen for the team to take that step to ascend? You have to go through the players that either held you back or were a roadblock. Like, the Celtics should have all the motivation in the world seeing Kyrie Irving on the other side. We know what Kevin Durant means to Jason Tatum and hearing that praise, but also knowing that you have to beat your idols to go to another level. I expect the best basketball out of the Celtics in this series. And that, again, that's why I think they will win the series. Now I'm worried about using words like easy. But it will be the Celtics will win this series.
How many games if they play them?
Maybe a gentleman's sweep.
Whoa, 6:05:07. The Nets stink. 6:07:05. Gentlemen's sweep.